Good morning, my very favorite, very chill internet learning friends. Or, do you know what? It's just morning here. Good afternoon, my loves, if you're someplace sunny and warm and exciting. Or, oh, isn't it a beautiful day today? Watch off after my own home. I hope it's a beautiful day today for you. If it's not too forward, how are y'all doing this week? How's your week going? And if you're offline, if you're viewing the video later, I also care about how your week is going. Come and so if you're actually feels appropriate to say this, if you're just joining us on stream or if you're just checking this out on YouTube and you're not a part of the boot camp, hey, we're doing a whole, always completely free boot camp, programming boot camp based around Free Code Camp's beta curriculum for learning web design. Yeah, and what we're doing today is we're going to be talking about the second project in the series. So, in order to get your certification from Free Code Camp, which looks very cool, you can put it on your LinkedIn. Very, very rad. Rad. Oof, do people still say rad? No, I think. No, it's a bit throwback. And what we're going to be doing today is you've got to pass. Ooh, where do I live on the camera? Oof, that's a question. Do you live on a camera? We're going to be doing 5 different projects to get our certification. And this is the second one. Remember, we already did the survey form project, but if you haven't completely finished that, that's super chill. Everything is chill. Well, I mean, the world is big and hard and scary, right? Like the 2020s are rough. But right now, here today, none of this is going to hurt us. Yeah. So, what we're going to do is, very, very big face for a second, is I'm going to do something a little bit different because this is a little bit of a messier way to see this. I'm going to show you ooh, the whole window for what we're going to be looking at today. And that's because we're going to be going through a bunch of different tabs. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have to look up a bunch of stuff, right? And we'll probably head to MDN to look a bunch of that out. But we're also going to be looking up some factual information because what we're doing today, and let me actually bop around a little bit and remind you where we are. Oh, yeah. I'm going to take a deep breath. Whew, and come all the way down to the bottom. We're working from this beta certification. If you've accidentally started on the regular certification, it's super chill. It just means most of the lessons we go through will be different. The projects are going to be the exact same. Everything's chill. We're going to click on this. I'm going to do the same thing where we take a deep breath. Whew, and we're coming way down. Look at all the stuff we've done. And again, if you're not done with a specific set of lessons, that's okay. You can come back when you get some time. If you need to take more than the 6 weeks of this boot camp, nothing bad is going to happen. Yeah, learn excessive. And this is the one we started yesterday. I only took y'all through 12 out of the 67. And that's cruelty, isn't it? I'm the meanest. So I'm smiling while I'm mean to you as well. So what I want to say is let's talk about the tribute project a bit. And if you have any questions, the accessibility project is both the hardest one and I'd argue the most important. So we're going to build a tribute page. Yeah. Way. And we didn't get a preview this time. Usually it says, oh, here's what we're going to learn in the lessons. And for projects, it says, here's your user stories. And here, can anybody tell me what is a user story? Do you remember? What's a user story? So here we've got our user stories, ID main, ID title. What's another way to say user story? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come all the way down because we're going to be doing, and we've talked about sandboxes before, haven't we? We're going to be, because Free Code Camp is a sandbox. A sandbox is an abstracted coding environment where some of the complexity, some of the scary stuff is taken away for you. Yeah. In Free Code Camp, as an example, they write some of the code for us and give us some tests. Yeah. And Leanne points out, oh, you know what? There is an example up there. We're not going to look. We can look at the example. Oh, good morning. Or hello, Sadiq. I'm not sure if it's the morning. Sasha, look at this after my own heart. Hey, you know what? A user story is, and it's not even a tech. Yeah, so it's plain language. It's not super technical. It's not jargony, but it's the descriptions of the features in a software system. And what I think is really important to add, this is absolutely perfect. This is absolutely correct. I think what's important to add is it's written from the user's perspective. So, what is the user, the person who's going to visit my website? What do they need? What's going on with them? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've got a little bit of a cold, so I'm just going to be snuffly all the time. So, we're going to come into this CodePeg template. Hey. And this is actually giving us a little bit of a preview of version control, isn't it? So, you remember Rizal, gosh, 2 weeks ago, taught us about Git during one of our Thursday sessions. Thursday, yeah. Days of the week are meaningless these days. Time is so weird, isn't it? Um, oh, Daria makes a good point. The user story is really sort of ways to delineate the user journey. And I might want to separate these out a little bit. The user journey is often, oh, when your user comes to the page, how will they walk through it? Where will they go? But the user story really gives you the landmarks that lets you make that experience, lets you make that user story possible. I really like this as an answer. So here we've got a README and it says, okay, don't take away any of the existing JavaScript. So it's saying, okay, we've got some stuff in here. Don't delete it. And you know what? We haven't been doing JavaScript as part of this course. Many of you are also taking the JavaScript course, and in which case, add some JavaScript. Get weird. But as the core part of this class, we haven't done any JavaScript yet. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and minimize JavaScript editor. I'm going to take it away because we're in this sandbox that feels a little bit like free code. It's a tiny bit different. We're going to write our HTML here. We're going to write our CSS here. Let me unzip you a little bit. Let me make this bigger. Yeah. And we're going to get our preview down here. So it's still in our browser. It's still nice and safe and easy. Easy. That's a lie, isn't it? I'm lying to y'all first thing in the morning. So the first thing I want to do is check this README. So, hey, check the README in the JavaScript editor. And the JavaScript editor says, don't delete your tests. We're not going to delete our tests. And it does say, feel free to delete this message. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this, but I'm going to leave my comment. Why am I leaving my comment? I'm leaving it because I want to. We've got 9 user stories. And if you remember from last time we had like in the survey project, we had like 16 or 12. We had more. But I still think this one's going to be harder. What I'm doing is I'm starting at the bottom. You can start at the top. And I'm going to Command C. I'm going to copy and paste all of these user stories in. Yeah, and I'm just going to do this so I've got some. It was 16 last time. Oof, that's a lot. And you might think fewer user stories obviously means less work. I'm going to go ahead and bet that it doesn't. Yeah. So, oh gosh, you know what? At the end of this, remind me to talk to you all about refactoring and what we might want to do as we continue to learn. Maybe, oh, hey, do I want to go back to my survey project? So remind me to chat to you about refactoring later on. So, one of the things I'm so excited about these projects is there's a lot of space for creativity. Yeah. And I think this is pretty important because when we do the main lessons, what you're going to build is, oh, so Sasha's asking, hey, in the JavaScript tag, you get the instructions to select the property you want to complete from the drop-down menu. Where can we find this menu? I think it's going to be in this little, I think it's going to be hidden in this, we call this a hamburger menu. Isn't that delightful? The little 3 lines looks a little bit like a hamburger. Oh, and when we click that, it says, okay, what project? What are you doing, y'all? We're not doing the survey form. We already did that. That's okay. But don't worry if you're not finished. It's super chill. Yeah. We're doing our tribute page. And what this does is it creates a series of tests. Let's run our tests just to see what the tests are. Failing tests are not a failure. So tests in programming are got what? 1 out of 10 Hmm. Hmm. Let's look at these. I'm s Okay, so we get 1 point. One of our tests passed just if we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Oh, we sorta get a free point because those are the programming languages we know. Nice. Somebody might say, "Well, HTML is not a program. Oh, is CSS a program?" And you can anybody who wants to fight you about whether or not the languages you know are programming, you can either ignore them or you can send them to me to fight. Oh, and here we've got both errors in plain English. Let's make this a little bit bigger, huh? Ooh, ooh, let's make that a little less big. We've got both the errors in plain English and the technical output that these errors are creating. If you don't understand the technical output, that's okay. That's super okay. This isn't, it's important, but it's not important yet. I want you to look at the errors here because they're super important. Here it says, my tribute page should have the element with the corresponding main that contains all other elements. And I think that's our user story, isn't it? Said in different terms. So really one of the we're coming all the way up. One of the things I think is cool is these errors are going to tell you your user stories again, but they're going to give you some more hints. One thing I might suggest just to be super mean, not just to be mean, but to sort of take away some of the scariness. If that's okay? And I know it's just, it's just programming. It can't hurt you. You're not afraid of it. But I don't know about you. Maybe you're much, much better at this than I am. You're likely much better at this than I am. But the first time I saw language like this felt really scary. Look at this. And this isn't really going to mean anything to us. One thing I'd like you to take a look at is just look at this language. You don't have to really understand it. You don't have to just be like, oh, cool. Here's some technical language I don't really get yet. If I wanted, I could look up the keywords in this. What are the keywords in it? And here, expected to not equal. Here, null just means a non-thing thing. Here it says, I expected to see, I checked to see if there was nothing that met my requirements. And my expectation that was that there wouldn't be nothing. My expectation is that there should be something. And here it says, yo, I checked. I wanted a thumbs up that this exists and searching for insertion error. Let's check that. When we see stuff that looks weird, we can look up the stuff that looks weird. What's an assertion error? Oop, I'm seeing it in Python. And you know what? We're language agnostic at this point. I'm not Geeks for Geeks wants my consent. Okay, sure. I mean, usually I would go through and untick all the data, but we're in a hurry. And you say, but Jess, we're not writing Python. And I say, hey, it's cool. I'm not too worried about the actual code. Here, I just really want to know what's an assertion error? And here it says, oh, assertion is a programming concept. Cool, cool, cool. So maybe it's a general concept. I love that. Oh, no, go away. I'm obviously not going to sign up or sign in. And here it says, it's looking to see if something, when a user declares a condition to be true, it's saying, are you true? And we've even got a cute little chart about what our test suite is doing. It's coming down our page, conceptually, it's coming down our page and say, hey, I've got an assertion condition. I'm checking to see if this is true. And if it's false, which it is here, I'm going to give you an error. And if it's true, I'm going to give you a check mark and go on to the next line of code. So if you want to, and if you feel confident enough, you can poke around. Oh, heck, where am I? You could poke around at these errors. But here, this part is just going to be where the tests are run in the free Bootcamp system. So if you don't get that, not a problem. And if you don't want to do that yet, not a problem. It's just a sort of stretch goal. So, because I am the meanest teacher in the world, I don't think I'm going to do any of this work. I don't feel like doing work today. I am going to lovingly and kindly, and maybe I'll do a little. I'm going to lovely and kindly beg you all to help me. Here, the user story one. Can you tell me what kind of code I should write. So generally, what kind, or can you give me the code for this? I'm just going to be super lazy. So go ahead, just yell at me. I mean, nicely, I hope, in the chat. What should I write for user story one where it says, and what we're writing is a tribute page. So we're going to be doing a page to somebody you think is cool. While you tell me what kind of code we should write, because there's always a little bit of a delay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the information I need. Because we don't just need the technical skills, we need the content for our page. Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come to Wikipedia. Wikipedia, very, very exciting. Oh, y'all are already telling me. And I'm going to search for my hero. I think it would be very unusual for you all to have the same hero as me. So I hope that you all are going to do this about somebody different. I'm going to do mine about Cato Lowe. And I'm big into learning about I like learning programming languages. You're like, "Oh, Jess, but you're not very good at them." I was like, "Yeah, I know, it's still fun." But I also really like to learn human languages, and I'm not very good at them, and it's still fun. And Cato Loam, Nikki, I love this question. Can we do a tribute for pets? I mean, I'm not your boss and I'm not your mama, but so I can't really tell you what to do, but please, please, please do a tribute for pets. That would be so cool. I feel like my hero is my cat Mittens, or my hero is the Norwegian penguin Sir Nils. Should we do an animal? No, we'll stick with a person. Sir Nils Olaf is maybe my favorite individual animal. So we've got the information about a person. And one thing I like here is we've got a name with an accent mark. So we're going to make sure we get it. So y'all have given me the code Sadiq after my own heart. You've given me a little bit of work where you're like, we need a main element with the idea of main. And Leanne's like, no, come on, Jess is hopeless. We got to help her. And remember that because we're in a sandbox, let's title this. Oh, heck. Tribute project. Remember that CodePen, which is another, they do some of the stuff for us. They declare the talk type, they say HTML, they start our HTML element, our root element. So really, we're going to start our structure with main. All right, what do we think? We think, is this it? Is this all user story one wants? While I'm doing the tests, let's look at user story and give y'all a second to yell at me. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. See? Be helpless without all y'all. It's got to have the ID of main. It's all right? This is a valuable, durable lesson about reading all of the instructions, and it is a lesson I refuse to learn. What about user story 2? Can you yell at me about what I need to do? User story 2, I should see an element with the corresponding ID of title, which contains text that describes the subject of the tribute page. How do I do that? I've got a decent idea of what kind of text I want to use, but y'all yell at me while I run these tests, because if we now have 2 past tests, that's going to be a pretty good sign that I can delete user story 1 from our nodes, isn't it? Oh, I can't bear it. Oh, 1 out of 10 passed. 1 out of 10 passed. My tribute page have an element with corresponding ID of main, which contains all other elements. Y'all, am I losing my mind? Have I spelled main wrong? What are we doing here? Oh! So remember when I said, oh, these big scary errors, we probably don't need to look at them. This one is actually super helpful. Because I was saying, no, I've been doing HTML for a million years. I mess stuff up all the time. And Florin has absolutely got my back here. And Elios is just like, yep, yep, yep. What we got here. The problem is main looks right, right? But here's where this error message is so helpful. It says, you know what? I told you to make a main element with a corresponding ID of main, and that's fine. You did that. But there's nothing else inside. So I think we probably need to do our second one. And someone has lovingly, Sasha has lovingly, you know what? I don't mean to, has said, we're going to do an H1. Yeah. So let's open it and let's close it. Just because that's good practice, isn't it? Like I always forget that. And here we want an ID that is equal to title. And in the real world, ooh, remember to save your work. I mean, in the real world, oof, that sounds like we're not in the real world now. I don't like that. When you're working outside of a sandbox, the muscle memory to save, Control S, Command S, all the time is going to absolutely save your soul. But in a real life project, I might not have all of these IDs. These are really, I think, just to help our test suite, just to say, hey, 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 you asked me to have this. I put the ID in it. We're cool, right? I'm going to take Kato Loam's name and I'm going to paste it right there. And Kato Loam is Hungarian. And one thing that I want to point out, because people's names are important, and the Wikipedia page puts this out, to say, oh, you know what? In Hungary, I think it might be Loam Kato. Um, but Wikipedia usually uses Western name order, isn't it? Although the idea that Hungary isn't the West is still very strange to me. So we think maybe 2 of these will pass this time, right? Would it do it? Oh, I can't bear to look. Oh, 3 of these has passed. Okay, so the technology stack, that's our free one. And now that we've put something, Florian and Elios, you were like, I think you need something in that. And you two were absolutely right. And we're seeing the title with the name of our person. Yeah, let's go ahead and close this. I'm going to delete these 2. And I'm not saying that we'll never need these user stories again, because we don't want to look at them one time when we're finished. Yeah. Oh gosh, you know what? Someday we'll have a session where we just hang out and read as a class. Not even necessarily hang out and read. That's a very strange stream. But we should definitely have some kind of class social sometime, huh? So let's get an image, yeah? So we're going to, we've got a couple different stories giving us an image. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make a conceptual box to put our image in. We can make it a figure, or we can make it a div. What should I write? And you all know my very, very loud bias, which is whenever we're putting an empty box, whenever we're putting one of these semantic elements on our page, I always like to use the most specific one we can. Which one do you all want to use? But I'm going to look at a couple user stories together because reading all of the instructions is so important, because I think these are going to be, yeah, I think user story 3, 4, and 5 are probably ones that we're going to like. Yeah, Leanne's saying, and either of these are totally correct, but Leanne's saying, you know what? Semantic meaning, which is I'm carrying structural meaning with my HTML choices. Figure's actually going to have a lot more semantic meaning, isn't it? And when we look at user story 5, a user caption is going to be something that might be a lot easier um, with figure. I don't know about you. Ooh, look at how often I look this up. MDN figure HTML. Yeah. And figure's a little bit less common than image. Maybe we've used a little bit less. So we're going to go ahead and get up the MDN for this. It is always okay to look at MDN. It is always okay to search for this. Yeah, never ever be embarrassed. If anybody tries to make fun, can you imagine an adult making fun of you? Like, oh, you forgot that. Somebody, yeah, just send them directly to me and I will. Oh, I don't even have any empty threads for them at this point. So we've got our main, and we know that our figure should come in here. And let's just take a look at the syntax for figure again. Uh, Opening figure tag. Cool, 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 cool. Oh gosh. And you know, whenever you see really, really good links dropped into the chat, that's going to be my colleague Mervin, who's absolutely brilliant. Can y'all yell thank you or yell hello at Mervin just to embarrass him? He's just too nice and too lovely, and I love to pick on him. So we're going to open our figure element. All right, cool. Then we're going to have our image. We've got to have our alt, right? And our alt text is to give that extra context. So if our image fails in loading, we'll still get a text describing it. Cool. And if if somebody's using assistive technology, like a screen reader, they're not going to be able to see, or maybe they've turned off images to save bandwidth. So people who aren't able to see your image for any reason or aren't able to load it still get the benefit of, hey, here's what this picture is a picture of. You know what? This class is now a Mervin Appreciation Fan Club, isn't it? He's Anytime you see me doing something right, oof, and the rare times you hear me sounding clever, 100% Mervin. So we've got our alt text, and then we're going to use these fig caption elements. Yeah, to do our captions. All right, so figure, image, fig caption, fig. So open figure, open image, close it. Image is self-closing, it's fine. Fig caption, close figure. We could do this. This is chill. Do, 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 do. And I'm going to do something you're never supposed to do, which is I'm going to hot link to some images. Jesse, what's hot linking? Somebody else, somebody in the chat. What's hot linking an image? And way more importantly, why must you never ever do it, except in this one example when we're not going to want to fuss with hosting? What is hot linking an image and why is it bad? So what we're going to do first is get the structure. Oh, I'm lying as well. So we got to figure. We know we want a caption. Is that true? Do we definitely want a caption? So make a div or a figure element. Yeah. We got that. Ooh, Leanne, you're creating a blank template since you're not. That's not a bad way to go. Like, get all the structure in and then get weird. Like, also, it's a big decision, isn't it? Oh, so Atraf has got me. So when hot linking is when you use the link of an image hosted elsewhere. So I'm saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I'm going to do it today just because it's faster. And you're going to probably do it in your projects because learning about hosting is something we'll tackle at the end of the course. But what happens when I hot link to an image, and let's go ahead and do it. Let's do the bad thing very quickly. We'll get there in just a minute. Y'all love how I'm like, never do this thing. I'm going to show you how to do the thing. But we're also going to talk about why it's bad. So I want to set a figure ID of image div. Oh, heck. And because I'm a lazy programmer. Oh, and you know what? I'm going to be giving a very, very informal stream on a different channel about laziness and being a developer. Not tonight, if you're watching this live, on Thursday afternoon, UTC. I can go ahead and drop that into the Discord if that's useful for you all, but no pressure if it's not. It is absolutely not part of the bootcamp. It's just if you're like, I'd love to hear Jess talk about being lazy more and to enjoin me to be lazy more forcefully. But as a lazy developer, I'm going to copy and paste this in because my laziness is my personal joy. I'm going to run these tests because I think what we've got for user story 3, instead of a figure or div with the corresponding ID of image div, I feel like I've got that right. Ready? 4 out of 10 passed. Everything's fine. We are hustling along. Nothing can hurt us. We are immortal. We are shining at the end of the world. Look at that. Number 3. That's what I should see a figure or div element with a corresponding ID. I'm going to delete user story 3. It is Done. Everything is done. And look at this. We are like a third of the way in. Remember to save. And the real world, you're not going to get the real world. I've got to stop saying that. Working outside of sandboxes, it's not going to give you that. Please save. Oh, yeah, I'll grab that link for you all after this. I don't want to break this because this is much more important than me talking about. Oh, it's on my, oof. So, it is on my Twitter, but my Twitter is just me, being goofy all the time. And I think I cuss sometimes. So y'all definitely don't have to look at that. I hopefully don't swear too much. So we've got that. And then our image development, we got to put in this image. So here's where we're going to do our hot linking. And whenever I ask, hey, us, hey team, hey y'all, hey us, is it okay to hot link? I'd be like, no, no, never. I mean, except we're doing it right now. So image screen. So what do we need in our image? So we need a source. We need where this goes. We need an alt text. That's absolutely non-optional. We must do it, or else. Oh, what or else? And I said, well, or else your website won't be as accessible, or else your users won't have this really valuable extra information. And Jess will personally be very disappointed in me. So we need our source, where this image is going. We need the alt text, what this image what's in the image, the content. And then we also need an ID of image. Yeah. Oh, Leanne, keeping me honest. Y'all are so patient where you're like, no, Jess, do the right thing. And I'm like, I'm going. So what we're going to do now is hot link. It is very bad. You shouldn't do it. And we're going to do it. So hot link means I'm going to take an image that lives somewhere else on the web and I'm going to copy that and I'm going to use it as the source of my image. Wait, does that not work? Why does that not work? Oh, this. Oh. So we're getting a lot of do not use this. Hmm. So let's talk about copyright. Yeah, that's what we want to do. So not only are we not supposed to hot link because it's bad, and it's bad because what you're really doing is linking to someone else's website. I know, Leanne said, do it, use that source link, and I'm absolutely not going to use that source link. Because I was saying, oh, hey, we can never, ever hot link. It's bad. And the reasons it's bad is what we're doing is we're using someone else's bandwidth. Every time a user comes to our website, it's going to make a request to their server and say, hey, show me that image, even though it's someone else's website and someone else's users. But also, when you find a picture online, usually you can't use it anyway because usually photos will be copyrighted. So you say, oh, you know what? I took this picture. No one else can use it. But Creative Commons is a type of license, which is like, hey, it's much more complicated than that, but it's usually generally, hey, you can use this if you want to. Here, this is saying, Wikipedia is saying, we found this image. We can't really find another image to say, look, we think this is fair use, and fair use is a really cool concept. But here, saying, well, we can't really get a new one. I'm going to cheat. Y'all just hear me constantly cheating. I'm not going to use a picture of Kate Olom. I'm going to use a picture of my favorite book from her. Ta! If you're a language nerd, I strongly recommend with images in mind. And while I'm finding an image of this, one thing I'm not going to, no spoilers, but Kate Olom with images in mind. Ooh. Um, I mean, obviously, we wouldn't want to steal a picture from Amazon. Like, oh no, hot linking from Amazon would be super mean. I feel a little bit less mean borrowing from Amazon. Oh, let me go ahead and see if this is going to work. If it doesn't, we might get like a picture of a puppy. Copy image address. Paste image address. You know, work? Yeah. Hmm. So we've got our picture, and what we've done is hot linked here. This isn't, so I don't have control over this file. I've linked to Amazon. Very, very bad. Don't do it. Amazon probably has the bandwidth, and I'm only using this is justifications, this is rationalization. In real world projects, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to host our own images. And there's already ways to do this using like Imager or this or that. I could take a photo of this and I could upload it on an image hosting service and link to that. But we've only got an hour and I'm rubbish. And I want to indirectly talk about why hot linking is bad as I hot link. What bad things could happen if I'm linking to an image, if I'm linking to a file that belongs to someone else? What bad things do you think could happen to me or to my users? So the first thing is, and I'm going to delete this after this example because I'm appropriately afraid of Amazon. Right? Sadiq is like, you know what? Amazon could come and they could wreck your life. I'm like, right? I am a very, very old lady. I don't need to talk to anybody's legal department where they're like, hey, why are you using our images? And why are you hot linking to them? In the same way, I don't need to talk to the cops. I don't need to talk to legal departments. No, hot linking, terrible. If Edris is like, you could get sued. I don't want that. Absolutely not. Please, thank you. No. Oh. Stick is like, you know what? They could get you for copyright. Oh, we already said that. I already put. And Leanne, this. The image could be removed. They could notice I'm doing this. I could say, Jess, that's a jerk move. I'm going to delete this image and break it on your website. What would be even worse than removing the image? So this is something they control. And this image, this file name for the image, they like the person who owns this could put whatever they want there, couldn't they? Ooh. They could take the same Amazon.com images G41G G1E and yeah, they could change it to just a big old picture of a butt or anything in the world. And that would just automatically show up on my page. Right? Right. So in the real world, we're not going to hot link. I'm doing it right now just to be lazy. Anybody who's using, yeah. So Leanne points out that they've got space on their own server. Actually, Leanne, if this isn't me giving you extra homework for you being brilliant, could you either in the forum or in the Discord, can you talk to us a little bit about just in real basic words, what does that mean to have server space? And yeah, how did you put an image on a folder if that's not weird? Yeah, because we can have a conversation about that, but I want to make sure that it's not just me talking to y'all. And of course, if you don't feel like teaching us about that's no problem at all. So here, got a picture of the book. What's a good alt text here? The cover of Cato Low. Yeah, I need the right O. Is that? Oh gosh, sorry, Cato. I've given you the wrong accent, an accent mark in the wrong place. A copy of Cato's Loams with languages. Ooh. And as a language nerd, the reason I'm so excited about Cato Loam, let's try our tests while we chat, is, hey, fuck, we're halfway done. The reason I'm so excited about Kate Oldham is she was one of the first modern polyglots. So she spoke and this is going to be a very technical term, just a heck ton of languages. Look at that. We're going to go ahead and get a caption next. We are absolutely hustling through this. Everything's fine. Fig caption, fig caption. Let's remind us of what this looks like. And it looks like we just put our text between the two fig captions. We can do this. This is chill. Ooh, heck, heck, heck. I am always in the wrong place. But I bet within our image div, we can get rid of user story 4. We've got our image div. It's got the right ID. It's hot linked, which is very bad. And of course, I'm going to fix this when I refactor it, which we'll talk about. Yeah. Image div, a caption, and we want the ID image caption. And since I am the laziest web developer, I'm just going to copy and paste that in. Image caption, image caption. Here, here's an exception to when you need to put in alt text. Because I've been so mean to all of you. You must have alt text. You must have alt text. You must have alt text. Unless either the image is purely decorative. So if I've got like a little white spacer image, I probably don't want to say there is a white spacer image. Nah. That's not valuable to people. Also, if my alt text is the exact same as the associated caption, I probably don't need alt text. Because if I'm using an assistive technology, if I'm using something like a screen reader and it comes in, and there's a lot of really good examples of what screen readers sound like. And I think there's one in the previous lesson, isn't there? And oh gosh, next week, so tomorrow we're going to be hearing, our guest session is from Felina. And Felina is going to be talking to us about how to read code, how to break that down, which is going to be super cool. But the Thursday after that, someone help me. Is that Thursday, February 2nd? Time is meaningless. On Thursday, February 2nd, a dear friend of mine, Parham, who works in accessibility and is a screen reader user, is going to come and talk to us about the experience. So hopefully he's going to agree with me that if your fig caption and if your alt text would be the exact same, that's one of the very few times you don't have to have alt text. I am always ready to be wrong. So let's make sure to ask Parham that when he comes. So I think this meets the requirements for user story 5. I'm going to run these. If we've got 6, is it going to be 7? 6 out of 10 passed. Look how absolutely durably easy and chill this is. Of course, just meeting the bare requirements. Look, I haven't written any CSS. Even if I pass all of these, there's probably a bunch of work I want to do, isn't it? Yeah. So we're going to talk about this more as the course continues, but these projects aren't just checking for knowledge. These projects are really, really fantastic for building a portfolio. So when you come and talk to employers, you say, hello, please give me a job. And they'll say, well, where's your, I don't know why the voice, well, where's your portfolio? You say, oh, here are these 5 projects I did as part of my certification course. And here's 2 or however many you want. Here's some projects I did on my own. And now please pay me money to do projects for you. Let's go ahead and we're going to delete user story. Oh, heck. We're going to delete user story 5. We feel like we're done here. Ooh, this is a little bit abstract. Y'all are going to have to tell me what's going on here. And we're not going to copy and paste. We're going to write this. But here it's saying, I should see an element. So far, I don't know what kind of element this is. I just know there's an element with the corresponding ID, attribute info. Still not helpful. So it's an element. I know what the ID is. Well, oh, here we are, which contains the textual content. That's especially if you're a non-native speaker of English. That's weird, right? The textual, but I think this is saying it contains the textual content describing the subject of the page. I think this is telling me to add some writing, right? Yeah. So what do we think we're going to do? I'm feeling like a P. I'm feeling like a paragraph goes here. We've already got our heading. That feels good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sadiq, I adore you. I adore all of you, of course. But this is such a good point. And I completely skipped it. You said, you know what? If you want some more semantic and when do I not want more semantic structure? Yeah, semantic structure is like our whole jam, isn't it? And say, hey, if you want some more semantic structure here, what if we made a section element? What if we made an article element? You know what? It has absolutely. I'm going to try the art because I don't think we've used an article element before, have we? And this is just saying, hey, browser, when you load this, here's some context clues that what's going on here is I've got an article here for you. Everything's chill. Everything's good. I'm going to add a little bit of space, not for any real reason, just to stretch my brain out a little bit. Oh, heck, heck, heck. Y'all, I'm doing this super wrong. Do you see where I'm wrong? The spaces aren't wrong, but I'm going to control X. What I am endurably wrong about is I absolutely wandered outside of Maine. Whew. I'm going to save you just to make sure. But our first user story said I needed to keep all the content. And really, an article is part of your main content. You want to stay in there. But I just wandered off. And you might think, well, I need to write some text, but I got Wikipedia. Can I just copy and paste that? And we just went through this with hot linking. Oh, that's a good question. Should the article include the H1? Let's check. Article. The article contents element. And the cool thing about MDN is it's not just going to tell us, here's the syntax, here's sort of the grammar of this, but it's also going to tell us what the best practices are. The article, HTML, element, self-contained composition in a document, page, application, or site. Ooh. And one of the cool things about using the article is it means it can be reused. And one thing that you might use is the reading list option if your browser has one. So add to my reading list is going to be something that using the article tag will be a lot easier for. Ephedrus perfectly points out, say, well, I think we should include our H1 here. I think Florian says, well, if we already have an H1, we can use an H2. And this is correct as well. Like, you ain't wrong. But as a durably lazy person, I'm going to go for the even lazier choice. So we've learned that our article, if we want to have one, it's completely optional. You don't have to have an article here. So we can either change this to a div and lose a little bit of the semantic meaning, which this is a sort of normal way to normal way to use a div. This is not unexpected. It's not bad. But I think what I might do is I might make our article a little bigger. This MDN says, hey, if you use the article tag, it makes it easier for this to be reused. So in case a newspaper came along and said, well, we love your article on Cato Loam, we want to reprint it. I say, cool. This is already really carefully structured for reprinting. Cool. And the examples, I love these examples saying, hey, that might be a forum post or a magazine or newspaper article, blog it. This feels like our stuff. And as a deeply lazy person, I'm not going to say the laziness, because I think bragging about being lazy disqualifies me. And Ephedrus makes a really good point. If this is an article, bundling the title, bundling the H1 with the article is important. And y'all do not have to add article. You do not have to add it. But what I'm going to do is say, I'm going to start my article up here. Yeah. Because Sneak made a really good point, and I love it. I'm going to end it. Because really, all of the content in this page is an article, isn't it? Rad. And I'm not just going to copy and paste from Wikipedia. Sadiq says, well, I think we can do it as long as we give our attribution to Wikipedia. I was like, I mean, yeah, but The reason I'm so excited about this project is the creativity. I'm anytime you want feedback, post these in the forum, post these in the chat. I will absolutely look at your site, look at your code and read these. Please, please, please write your own text. I don't care about the Wikipedia article for these for all these. I want to hear about what you like about them. So this page is dedicated to one of my favorite. I'm going to spell everything wrong. I don't care. It's one of my favorite linguists. A linguist is somebody who studies the sort of the structure around languages. A linguist is to languages what a computer scientist is to computers. Kato Low. She was a Hungarian polyglot who, and I'm just going to put dot, 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 because y'all don't actually need to hang out with me for a reading assignment, huh? Oh, yeah. I love this. And Ephedrus points out, you know what? Just because we have this overarching semantic structure doesn't mean that we can't continue to build structure within it. So Bruce Lawson came and talked to the first bootcamp. Could I, Mervyn, if it's not a bother, can you drop the link to that video in? And Bruce Lawson is, well, in very, very technical terms, a solid dude. But he's also one of the best informed folks on HTML I know. What? This, Elios, you absolutely cannot say this without telling me who you mean, because I wanted to trade and I want to say, oh, you know what? One of the most influential language designers of program. Hang on, one at a time. So Elios is saying, hey, you're right, you're right. Elios is saying one of the most influential linguists of today, and saying that's always controversial, isn't it? Because linguists love to fight, not like computer scientists who are very laid back, very relaxed. Saying, you know what, one of the most influential linguists of today has some background in writing machine code. And Elias is like, Chomsky. Hold on, where's my Chomsky? No, y'all don't care about what books I have. So Chomsky, I'm going to flip that and say, oh, do you know what? Somebody who wrote and designed a very, very common, very popular programming language has a background in linguistics. So the gentleman who developed Perl, which is a programming language, and this is going to be very controversial because I'm going to say maybe one of the most poetic programming languages. It's very. Let me drop an article to the Perl. Larry Wall, who again, by all accounts, solid dude, put together the Perl programming language, and he's got a background in linguistics. Oh gosh, yeah. This is very controversial, and it's only my opinion, but I think that the art of thinking about human languages and working with human languages and being just sort of thoughtful about human language, I think that's a really big benefit when it comes to how we talk to computers and vice versa. Elios, you majored in English language and literature. Me too. I hear best background for there's no best background. Yeah. Oh, wow, Sasha, you're interested in linguist. Oh gosh, you're learning Chinese. Chinese looks so hard. I'm so jealous. We should absolutely do a social where we could just chat about non-programming things, because I am dying to know how you're learning Chinese and how you're structuring that. But let's come all the way back. We're going to run these tests. And 6 out of 10 have passed this time. This is saying I should see an element with a corresponding. Oh, I haven't added the ID. Everything's fine. So I went through all that faff back and forth. I didn't add any. Do we want to add sections? Yeah. We can add extra section. Oops. Here we say ID equals intro. I'm going to close that. You don't need these. These are just me. And let's say I want to add a section. study is going to be about um, languages. This will be a whole section about what languages Cato Lowe speaks. Oh gosh, do any if it's not strange to ask, what languages do all of you speak? I just love to be jealous at people who speak a bunch of languages, or even 2 or 3. I speak like 1.5, and even then, my English isn't great, is it? Um, so we've got some sections. What I forgot to do is this paragraph. We've been asked to have the ID of tribute info. That's cool. I'm going to put the tribute info paragraph right here at the top in my intro section. That feels chill. I think we're going to run our tests. Oh, heck, we're actually going to run our tests. And 7 out of 10 have passed. And after that, we've got some more things we're going to do. But even if I just go through this list and do all of these, and I know you all are going to be very, very gentle because you all are very nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at what my tribute site looks like so far. Is this good? I mean, it passes the tests, right? But it doesn't look great, right? And the challenge with these projects are you can get all of the test pass and you still maybe don't have something you'd feel really proud of including in a portfolio. So here we haven't touched the CSS at all. And really, the big, hard, creative part of this is I'd love to see both really creative pages that talk about something you're really passionate about. And you don't have to be passionate. If you just want to pick something and pick it, that's fine. Not a big deal. But also, I'd love to see something that looks beautiful and feels really solid. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Languages wise, look at this. This is when I say terrifying, I mean this in the most admiring way possible. Sadiq speaks Hindi, uh, Kannada, Urdu, English, Telugu. Look how modest you. Oh, do you know a little bit of Tamil? Look at this. You're just very casual, like, oh, of course I speak all of the languages in the entire world. And Leanne as well is just like, oh yeah, I speak English and German and Spanish and Japanese. If you're studying Japanese, let me know. I've got a bunch of mostly computer-driven tools about learning Japanese that I'm really happy to brag about. Share. I didn't make any of them. So your homework isn't just going to be for today. I think this is going to go on for a couple days. I think if you finish this in one day, woof, you're so fast. But your homework's going to be over the next couple of days to try and go ahead and finish up this project. And when I say finish up, that feels like, well, I've passed my tests. I'm done forever. But what I was really excited to talk to you all about is, oh gosh, Nikki, look at you. English, Tagalog, oh, how do I pronounce this? I'm so sorry. Uh, Tagalog, French and Spanish. I've always been very embarrassed that this is such a big language. I've always waffled on how to pronounce it. You're very patient. Arax, you speak Armenian. Cool. Michael has just got the most widespread. You're like, oh, English and Swahili and Korean and very casual about. I'm terribly jealous. And again, if you don't speak a bunch of languages, that's chill as well. I mostly speak English and muddle around that a bit. So. Yeah. Refactoring. Let's look at our projects. Elios is saying, look, I don't even speak this first language well. And babe, I feel you. I feel that in my heart. I forgot how to say sideways on a stream a couple days ago. Like, really, languages, yeah. The brain is weird. Languages are everything's weird. It's fine. Let's go ahead and take a look at. I want to have a little bit of it. Oh gosh, and y'all, hit me up if you have any questions at all. Yeah. And they can be about this project. They could be about the accessibility. They could be about anything going back or going forward. Oh, we've got some native speakers of Korean. With so many people wanting to learn Korean, simply, we're just all going to bother you. Sasha, I love this. We are like, well, of course I speak 2 languages as native languages. Brilliant. And English and Chinese and Sanskrit and and JavaScript. I love that. Sasha, I have no idea where you find the time to be this levels of fantastic. It is absolutely inspiring. Oof. That's really nice to hear we have the same first language, Ephedra. So we both sometimes speak rubbish. I tend to keep all of my rubbish right here on stream for all of y'all. So I want to go back in time a little bit while I chat to you. And please, please, please ask me any questions you all have while I go back in time. Because I want to show what we've done. We're going to come all the way back up here. And don't forget, we didn't talk about Flexbox on stream, but we're going to talk about it during the Saturday social. Yeah, it's going to be super chill. And that's just going to be a drop in. If you don't, I don't want to, I mean, I do want to come because I really like to talk to you, but I wouldn't want to come to class on a Saturday. You could just check out the video later if you want to. But what we're going to do is I'm going to come way up and show you how much we've done since we did our first project. So when we built our survey form project, the only things we had learned together were basic HTML, basic CSS. We learned about CSS colors, and then we learned about HTML forms. That's a lot. But after we looked at our survey form project, we learned about the box model. For homework, we assigned Flexbox, but that's okay. We'll learn about it together on Saturday. We learned about typography Monday. We learned about typography on Monday, and we started to learn about accessibility yesterday. Woof, the passage of time. So really, you've got a whole bunch of different skills that you didn't have when you started your survey form project. What refactoring means is it's when you go back and you fix up a project. And it might be a big project to say, oh, I did this. I'm going to talk about some JavaScript stuff, but it's just an example. Oh, I did this website using React, which is a JavaScript framework. And I don't really want to use React anymore. I'm going to refactor it. I'm going to rewrite it in plain old JavaScript with no frameworks. Or you say, hey, you know what? When I built this survey form project, I didn't know about accessibility yet. I want to go back through this survey form project and I want to apply these accessibility principles to make this project more accessible. I love that. And that's such a great skill to talk about in interviews to say, hey, I have experienced refactoring projects. And just being able to say, oh, hey, I have experienced refactoring websites and projects like ooh, as an employer. Ooh. So we've got 2 quick questions. And Sadiq, I'm going to get to yours next, but I love general questions. Y'all can hit me with general questions all day. HMC says, what media query is from step 20 of Flexbox? And y'all are going to have to absolutely wait with me while I get my brain where this is. And don't worry if this feels out of place for y'all. You know what? Flexbox is, I'm going up instead of down, y'all. There we are. Here's Flexbox. And we're going to look at step 20. Oh, that's way at the end. Create a, ooh, okay. Yeah. So media queries are something we've learned about a couple of different times. And yeah. Oh, Leanne. I was just going to say, hey, let's go to MDN and let's look it up. I'm not going to put your, so Leanne makes a good point, but I'm not going to put it on screen yet because I want to model the search process. Was it like being absolutely right a little bit too fast for the class? And here's what I would do. Oh, heck, I'm going to close this article about Kate Ola, who's very, very cool, by the way. She lived to be 94. What a good run. What I'm going to do here is say, okay, the question is, oh, dang, what's a media query? Yeah. And I've got a couple different things I could do. Yeah. What are the 3 things you could do when you don't know what's going on? You can ask an adult. Oof. And unfortunately, the adult is usually me. Or you can experiment. You can get weird. Say, what does this do if I do weird things with this media query? What happens if I put in different numbers? What do I think might be happening? And I love to encourage you to get weird. Like that's the best one for, or I can look it up. you've opted for number one. I'm going to ask somebody else. Um, and because you've asked me, and I mean, what I'm going to do is, oh, wow. Sometimes you speak English, Swahili, Kamba, Kiku, and a bit of Serbian. I'm so sorry. I log on every day and show off my ignorance. But I've never encountered Kiku before. Can you tell me a little bit about? I know it's not about programming. Y'all are just. Can you tell me a little bit about the language? That sounds so exciting. It's just a beautifully named language. So I'm going to say, what's a media query? Heck. And right here, I've got media queries in CSS. And this is in CSS. Okay. So, heck. I'm going to grab the NDN because for for the purposes of this conversation, I have no idea what a media query is, even though I think we've done it once or twice. Media queries let you adapt your site or app depending on the presence of value of various device characteristics and parameters. Okay, so this still sounds weird. This doesn't sound like it's helping us, does it? I'm going to say this in a different way and see if y'all can back me up. Here, a media query lets me set an additional set of CSS rules depending on what my user is using to look at my website. And a really good example is what we've got here is say, hey, if my user has a screen that's smaller than 800 pixels, I want to create a rule just for those users that takes the width property of my images and cuts them in half. So, how I would say this is the media queries. Oh gosh, thank you so much, Mervin. I was like, here's the link. Ha ha ha. I'm not going to share it with you. See, anytime nice things happen for the learners, it's always Mervin, isn't it? Or it's you all helping each other, which I just love. So here we've got create a media query for screens smaller than 800 pixels in width. In that media query, you create a gallery image rule and set the width property to 50%. Got it. This is hard, right? This language is hard. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get Leanne, who's really helpfully given us the syntax. So we're coming into the syntax. We're going to say, hey, I'm just going to copy. Oh, lazy me. Media. Okay, cool. And we've got, and what happens with media is we're going to pass it the rule. Oh, max. The first thing we're just doing is saying, hey, let's break this down. When I say at media, what I'm really saying is, yo, I want to do a media query. And CSS, as long as you've typed it right, CSS is like, hey, I hear you want to do a media query. The next thing CSS is waiting for is, can you tell me when to apply the media query? Who do I give this to? And they say, okay, cool. Well, here, I want this rule to impact screens that are smaller than 800 pixels in width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a maximum width. I'm going to set that to 800 pixels. Yeah. Is that, that feels okay so far, doesn't it? And then, so far what I've said is, yo, I want to do a media query. I want to set special rules for any user who's got a screen that's narrower than 800 pixels. What I got to do now is say, okay, cool. You want to set a rule for these people? What's the rule? I got this. So the rule is I want, heck. I want the rule that says if you see the ID of gallery for an image, please set the width. Have I done this right? Hmm. Oh, wait, wait, wait. I'm doing everything wrong, aren't I? And just show me how to do it. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Show me the at media rule. Yeah, that's what I want, the syntax. Oh, cool. I need to put curly braces in my curly braces. That's what absolutely got me. So, gallery image. Y'all are patient. Does that look right? We feeling confident with this? Oh, we can't see the bottom. How about that? Do we feel okay there? Hmm. You all are so patient. I'm so sorry about that. Y'all couldn't even see me being wrong. We could pretend I was never wrong. So here what we've got is I want to do a media query. I'm going to set some special rules for anybody who's got something narrower than 90 degrees. And then within those rules, whenever you see an ID of gallery for an image, I'm going to set a width to 50%. And what this means is now we should be able to see this when I get smaller enough. Oh, when I get small enough, it disappears. So here, it's making sure that if the screen gets small enough, that it goes ahead and collapse these down. Yeah, very. Check my code. Yes, we got that little green star. And we're going to do Flexbox in detail on Saturday, I promise. Yeah. Y'all are just like, all of you speak really interesting languages, and I'm impossibly jealous. So, look at you. I speak 3 or 4 or 5 languages fluently. Oof. So, Sadiq, this question isn't off topic at all. And it's, oh, how many years of experience do I have in programming? And what made me want to be a programmer and teach others? So, I've been programming not especially, mm, I've been programming well enough to get by for, gosh, years and years and years now. I'm so sorry I couldn't tell you. But one thing I'm really careful to say is my day-to-day job is not programming. So I will very happily read code, I'll very happily check errors, I'll happily make some little demos. But if you want somebody who's a deadly serious, fantastic programmer, we could just go get Ramon, can't we? So I'm a developer advocate, which is a super weird job. And you know what? It's a job I will absolutely who here, because y'all speak a bunch of language as well. Who here is an extrovert who likes talking, who likes writing? Uh, who here likes both code and computers? Because maybe being a developer advocate might be a good job for you. Um, and really, that's a big part of my job is, hey, Jess, please teach people how to use this technology. So I work for a company called N8N now, and we do automation. So we do sort of drag and drop low code programming. And a big part of my job is, hey, Jess, write things and give talks and build demos that teaches people how to use this automation. So I used to be a teacher and I did some programming. So being a developer advocate just felt like a perfect fit. It's kind of a weird job. I imagine, oh gosh, that's a good question. Coming out of this course, what do you want to do with your programming skills? Do you want to be a programmer? Do you want to be a technical writer or a tester? Oh gosh, do you want to be a developer advocate? Oof. Or if you don't know what you want to do yet, you're just like, oh, I just want to build a website. I just want these skills. We can talk about the different kinds of jobs that are available in tech. It's not just that you have to be a programmer. So I've been programming for a long time, not always super confidently, but I've been teaching for ages and I just never want to give it up. Oh gosh, and this is such I'm not calling you out when I put this on screen. You're saying, "Hey, it can be a little bit challenging because English isn't my native." That's why I like to talk about language so much because we're really asking you to meet us in your second or third or fourth language, and it's hard, isn't it? And this technical language, even for native language English speakers. Let's go back. When this said, look at this, look at this. Media queries let you adapt your site or app depending on the presence or value of various device characteristics or parameters. That's hard as a native speaker, too. That's like very specific technical language that you just kind of have to learn. It's a whole new language you need to learn. It's not just you. I'm always happy to chat about stuff in plain English. And if you ever catch me saying something in a way that feels really confusing, you are always helping me and you're always helping other learners by saying, "Yo, Jess, hold up. What? Oh, Leanne. Woof, Leanne." I'm increasingly convinced that Leanne might just be me from the future, but better at programming because you live in the future. You're like, "Oh, I'm an introverted extrovert." Whew, same, my love. I thought just programming in Hex is you can't just say that. You gotta talk to us about programming in Hex or drop a link. You have to. I don't tell you you have to. Oh, wow. So Septis was saying, "Oh, I speak, Kikyu and Kamba, and they're, Bantu originated languages." Cool. This is I am absolutely going to spend my morning reading some about the structure of this. I'd heard about Kamba before, but never Kikyu. Ooh. Here is a question that is very dangerous. So, I won't talk too much about developer advocates because developer advocates, we love to talk about at our jobs. Oh, actually, though, if you want to, you don't have to. I am going to be speaking in a Twitter space. Oh, tonight, later tonight, very, very late. If about 8 hours from now, 10 hours from now. I'm going to be talking about how to get into developer advocacy if you're interested in that. Of course, you don't have to go. But if you're like, oh gosh, I'm an extrovert and I could do a better job than Jess, um, I'm going to be, and the people who are going to be joining me are oh, they're just fabulous. Do you need to be a good programmer to be a developer advocate? I mean, I'm a developer advocate and y'all have seen me program, so you don't have to be the best for some jobs. Some developer advocate roles we want somebody who's fantastic at JavaScript or who's fantastic at Python, who's fantastic at machine, and that's fair. Like that's something you need for a lot of jobs. But for some of them, you can be cheerfully okay at programming and get whoa, you know what? This question is such a good question. I think it's going to give me anxiety for the rest of the day. I was about to say, I think for a lot of developer advocate jobs, you could be cheerfully okay at programming and be good at your job. And immediately I'm like, oh, am I good at my job? Ooh. Thank you very much for this very good question that I'm absolutely going to think about wide awake at 3 in the morning this morning. Yeah. Oh gosh. So for the Twitter space, that's going to be at 8 p.m. at UTC. Do you know what? You're joking. Let's come after Justice Joe. Please, 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 please. Of course, I want you to do the jobs that are best for you, and I'm selfish. I really, at the end of the day, I want you to get a job that isn't evil, where you get paid really well. But if you want to take my job, come and take my job, my love. I'd be so excited. Like, I'd love to see some of you in developer advocacy. And oh, do you know what? Yeah. We'll talk about this in the Discord and in the forum if y'all want to. Come and take my job, non sarcastically. Do it, do it, do it. My team is so nice. Ooh, yeah. So, yesterday's quiz project is step 16, talking about aria and labeled by. And this is something that's going to be a little bit big. So, let's get the documentation. Ooh, what is aria? And I think aria is also an opera term, isn't it? So, what is an aria in web technology? Look, and we could quickly scan for which of these articles we think is going to be the most useful. This title, I love it. What the heck is aria? I haven't seen this before. I don't know how good this is. We're both discovering this together in real time. What the heck is aria? Sounds like so. Aria is shorthand for. I'm gonna just scan this real fast to make sure there's no swearing or inappropriate pictures. I'd be surprised if there was. I'm gonna drop this in. So I'd recommend having a little think more generally about what is ARIA. And ARIA is a way to embed additional context, which is really, really valuable for assistive technologies. We're going to look at step 16. And we're going to just do this super quick together. Step 16. Oh, am I in the wrong place? I'm in the wrong place. Look at me consistently, cheerfully being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, ARIA is really, really valuable for adding this additional context for assistive technologies. ARIA labeled by, let's go ahead and get that as well. MDN say, cool. ARIA labeled by identifies the element or elements that labels what the element is applied to. And this is just saying, hey, I want to stick this label to, when I say just, what a jerk move. So this is saying, I want to attach this label to these elements. I want to sort of make a chain connecting them. And that can be really important. This could be valuable for people using screen readers. And this can be, yeah, some of the elements get their accessible name from content inside them. But this is a way to do that for folks that don't, or to add extra labels. Um, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in as well. But let's go ahead, and I'm not trying to dodge your question, but I want to make sure this is a really, really valuable one. Hey, what's the deal with ARIAs? Why are we just getting those thrown at us? Um, let's go ahead. Can we move this to the forum and move this to the Discord just so we can have this conversation in a really, really durable place? Because I think this is going to be useful. Yeah. So, what this is for is this is going to connect. Hey, here's this label for these elements, which I think is really useful. Sadiq is saying this Twitter space is at 1:30 a.m. Don't you dare show up to. I'm sure somebody will record, and even if they don't, somebody else will do one. People do these all the time. Y'all, y'all are saying, "Oh, this is the middle of the night. This is 5 a.m. my time." You are not. I mean, I'm not your boss. I'm not your mama, but I wouldn't show up at 5 a.m. I mean, I'm doing it, and I wouldn't show up at 5 a.m. And Leanne says this so much more beautifully than I could, is saying, "Hey, we're taking the section, and and the H2. We're taking the section of the H2, and connecting the IDs there." And Sadiq points out that I did not even say what ARIA stands for. Mean, 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 mean. It is accessible, rich internet applications. And ARIA, it is an opera term, isn't it? I like to think of it as you are singing out extra context for the folks who want it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, y'all are like y'all have this is why I wanted to move this into either chat or the forum, just because y'all have really durable, really useful ways to describe this, to say, you know what? It's going to help assistive technologies like screen readers more quickly and more clearly identify this element. Y'all are after my own heart. We got more introverted extroverts. Whew, let me try and sell you on developer relations then. Yeah, my most impossibly. Oh, you missed the old Opera browser. And you mentioned earlier that you really enjoyed, you cited Bruce's talk that he gave. You know, Bruce used to work on the old Opera browser. Um, I'm not sure it's still a thing. But do you know what? I will go. I think I'm seeing him tomorrow. When I next run into Bruce, I was like, oh, you know, one of my learners both really enjoyed your talk and misses the old Opera browser. Oh, yeah, Netscape was your first browser. Do you know what? I think a lot of our other learners, Netscape was my first browser as well. A lot of these learners would have been born after Netscape stopped being a thing. And with that very, very introspective comment, it might be time for me to head off for the morning. If any of you want to show up at the Twitter space later, sure, you're welcome. No pressure, no problem. But at the same time, it's just going to be me aggressively trying to sell you on getting into developer relations. You all get me aggressively trying to sell you stuff often enough. So maybe just come hang out for the class if you want to. Tomorrow, we're going to have Felina joining us at just about the same time we start this. So, regular time tomorrow for all of you. Very easy. Felina's going to be joining us and going to be talking about how to read code. Isn't that rad? And then we're going to have a study session, 10 a.m. UTC on Saturday. I'll get that loaded into YouTube and all that. And then next week, we're going to come in. Look. We are halfway done. You are halfway through the boot camp. And if you still need to do some of your project, that's not a problem, my love. If you still need to do some of the lessons, that's not a big deal. Yeah. Um, but we're halfway through all of these. Isn't this exciting? I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I absolutely adore an excuse to get to learn all of you. Homework, homework, homework. Work on work on this project and come on, tell me what your enduring homework is. Um, oh, someone's asking, Seth, Zach, can I be your junior dev? I'm so sorry I'm not hiring devs right now. Also, oof, the absolute favoritism of me trying to hire one of you. How about, I mean, let's get you a junior dev job. Like let's get some help behind that. Oh gosh, and let's see if we can get us helping each other finding jobs as well. Yeah, so we'll see what kind of work we can do supporting that in the forum and in Discord. I'm so sorry. I'm personally sorry that I'm not hiring junior devs right now, but selfishly, I'm so glad that I'm not because, gosh, look at all of y'all. I could never ever pick between one of y'all. Ooh, I would just look at all of your resumes and then weep. Like, oh no, I know how good and clever and wonderful they are. How could I ever pick one person? So, your homework, continue to work on the tribute paid project. And as always, the 2020s are weird. Life is so stressful. Your homework today and tomorrow, and as many days as you can manage it, is to be as gentle to yourself as you can while the whole world is weird. Thank you so much, my loves. And I will see you tomorrow morning or afternoon or night, whatever time it is, to meet with Felina. Bye, team.